Hi everybody, this is our first video on materials and we're going to talk about what kind of palette to get. So I like a big glass palette because I can do lots of mixing on a big area. I also like it glass, and with glass I put white paper underneath it so I can see the colors a little bit more brilliantly than I could on a clear palette, which would give me whatever on the floor below me. So this is a palette. These are also palettes, and I do not like these because when you try to put your palette knife inside, it's very difficult to try to mix paint in there and to get it in and out of it. If you can't find a glass window or a big piece of glass, or a storm window is ideally best, I still wouldn't use these. You can use a dinner plate, or you can go ahead and get a piece of wood. It scrapes up nicely on the wood, but as you can see, the color is a little bit not as brilliant as the color is as you are able to see the brilliant color on the glass. So this is a palette, and I want you to get yourself a palette. If you can't find glass and you can't find a big piece of wood, you can use dishes or plates. I wouldn't eat off of them. Glass would be ideally best. Second best would be ceramic, white ceramic. But with dinner plates, if there's any cracks or anything in it, you're going to possibly get the paint into the cracks, and you probably don't want to eat on it afterwards. So go to Goodwill and get another one when we're back out into the real world. So then let's talk about brushes. I have a huge, enormous variety of brushes here on my palette, and they come with so many different kinds of hair. This one is a hog bristle, so the hairs come from a hog. I believe this one is horse. I should have some camel brushes in here. I'm not sure what these are. Might be hedgehog or something. What's it say on here? No, it's a sable. This comes from a fox. So brushes come in lots of different shapes and forms. This is horsehair, I believe, and it's super soft. This is also horsehair. So these big wide ones, these are for big layerings and washes of paint. These are round, and the round brushes can come small or fat. So that's the shape of it, it's round. Then we have our flat brushes, which I use a lot of flat brushes. They're straight flat brushes. I think I have some wider flat brushes and a little bit more soft flat brushes. And then regular house painting brushes, which are extremely useful. So some of them are just weird brushes, like this one. This is a super floppy brush, just kind of flops all over the place. Not much control with it. So if you're doing like watercolor paintings and you want to have lots of floppies, this is a fan brush. These are chiseled flat brushes, so you can see the angle of that is a little bit more chiseled, so that we can kind of get and do kind of like an edgy thing in it. These are Filberts. They were a little round at the end. You can see the butt's a little like a filbert. We have liner brushes that have a little bit longer bristles, so you can kind of drag a line really nicely along an edge or something like that. So lots of different kinds of brushes depending upon what your project's going to be. You want to get yourself 2 or 3 brushes. I would definitely get a flat one, and for the second project you're going to want some little detailed brushes to add tiny little bits of paint. So whatever brushes you use, I want you to be able to take care of them at the end. So when you take care of them, first of all, when you first get them, they're stiff because they come with starch in the bristles to keep them nice and looking beautiful. So when you first get them, don't just smash them on the ground to get that starch out. Just gently wash the starch out of the end of the bristle. Okay, so then you have it bendable, as opposed to from the very beginning. Let's see if I have another starched up brush here. I'll show you the stiffness of it. Oh, I guess I don't. Yes, this one's a little bit stiff. So I haven't washed all the starch out of that. So when you go to wash your brushes, I would recommend Murphy's oil soap if you have it, especially if you have natural bristle brushes that are very, very expensive. Otherwise, you can just use normal dish soap. So put a little bit in your palm and take your brush and kind of work the bristles down. And you can see my soap is starting to kind of turn pink because this brush had some paint way, way up deep in the furrow. So you want to make sure that the paint gets out of really deep inside the bristles, or else you'll see, I don't think I have any bad brushes here. I might have some. They'll start to swell right here. They'll kind of like come down and swell in this area right here because the paint gets trapped way up here. So when you clean them, don't be afraid to kind of like be rough on them, because it's worse for them to have paint in the very deep wells of its furrow. So when you're done washing your brush, don't just leave the hairs all kind of like hilter-kilter like that. You want to straighten it out as best you can and shape it. Sometimes it takes a little bit. It's kind of like putting curlers in your hair. You want it to have a really good shape. If it doesn't hold the shape, this one's having a little bit of trouble, take a piece of paper towel or toilet paper and have it nice and wet and roll it into the shape you want it to stay in, and then it will be really good. Let it dry overnight. And that's brushes, and that's palette, and that's cleaning your brushes. You also might want to get a squirt bottle to keep your paints nice and wet, especially if it gets warm out. And I will see you for the next video on palette knives.